All right, let's dive right in. Today we are going to tackle the really complex world of fundraising for ALS. But we're not just going to list things off. We're going to turn it all into a clear strategic playbook. The whole goal here is to give you a solid framework so you can decide what's truly right for you and your family. So let's open up that playbook and get started.
When you get an ALS diagnosis, a tidal wave of questions hits you. And let's be honest, a huge one is financial. The costs can feel, well, just overwhelming. And figuring out where to even begin with fundraising, that can feel just as daunting. We're here to help you cut right through that noise.
Look, we're not just giving you a list of ideas you could find with a quick search online. No, this is different. This is your strategic playbook. We're going to break down the options, look at the trade-offs, and give you the actual tools you need to build a game plan that fits your specific situation, your life.
So here's how we're going to do it. Our playbook has 6 parts. First, we'll set up the metrics, how we're going to measure everything. Then we'll look at the different plays, the low-effort ones, the ones that tap into your community, and the big, high-effort events. And then we'll put it all together side by side to help you build your own game plan.
Okay, every good playbook needs a way to keep score, right? So before we jump into the actual plays, let's establish the key metrics we're going to use to evaluate every single option.
Now, this is really important. One of our core metrics is something we're calling sweat equity. This isn't just about physical work. It's the total personal energy, physical, mental, emotional, that you, your family, your caregivers, everyone has to invest. And in the world of ALS, managing this resource is absolutely crucial. Along with that, we'll look at time, cost, and of course, ROI, return on investment. That just measures what you get back for what you put in. It's the key to knowing if a play is actually worth the effort.
All right, our very first play is kind of in a category all by itself, simply because it's so low effort for such a potentially high impact. We're talking about financial assistance applications. This is a way to directly attack medical debt, rather than trying to raise new money to cover it. So, you might be wondering, does this stuff actually work? Well, get this. Organizations like $4, who are experts in helping patients with these applications, report a 70% success rate in getting medical bills forgiven or seriously reduced. That is a powerful number.
And what does that 70% success rate actually look like in dollars and cents? The average relief someone gets can be anywhere from $5,000 all the way up to $20,000. For some people, it's even more. That's a direct financial hit that can be, and I mean this, truly life-changing.
So let's look at the dashboard for this play. The numbers here are just incredible. The time commitment, it's minimal, just a few hours. And that sweat equity we talked about, it's low. For that tiny investment, the potential return on investment, the ROI, is just staggering. You could see 10, even 100 times your input in the form of forgiven debt. It's amazing.
And the process itself is actually really straightforward. You research if you're eligible, you gather up the right documents, you submit the application, and then you follow up. It's a simple process that makes this a super powerful and accessible first step for almost any family. Okay, let's shift gears and move to our next set of plays. These are all about leveraging the incredible power of your local community. We're going to look at 2 really popular methods here: getting local businesses to sponsor you and running raffles. First up, local business sponsorships. Now you can see right away the commitment level goes up. You're trading more of your time and a medium level of sweat equity, but you're getting a very, very solid return for it, potentially 5 to 20 times what you put in.
Success here really comes down to having a clear plan. You've got to identify local businesses that care about the community, craft a really compelling pitch that tells your story, get those meetings on the calendar, and then you negotiate and follow up. It's really about building relationships, not just asking for a check.
Next up, let's look at raffles. Now, the time and energy are pretty similar to sponsorships, but I want you to notice the key differences here. The upfront cost can be higher to get those prizes, and the financial return is a lot more variable. So this presents a different kind of strategic trade-off. So how do you choose? Which one is right for you? It really comes down to your strategy. Sponsorships can bring in more money and build these lasting community partnerships. Raffles, on the other hand, they're often quicker to pull together, and they give a really simple way for a lot of people to support you with just a few bucks. All right, let's move into our final category of plays, organizing the high-effort events. You know, these are the big ones. They demand the absolute most in terms of time, money, and that precious sweat equity. But they can also generate incredible funds, and maybe just as importantly, a powerful, powerful sense of community spirit.
Let's take a classic example, the beef and beer fundraiser. The metrics here show a major jump in commitment across the board. We're talking a huge investment of time and personal energy, and thousands in upfront costs. The return is still positive, for sure, but a play like this is often more about that incredible community feeling it creates than it is about a massive financial ROI.
But wait, there's another kind of high-effort event that can be much more manageable, a sponsored challenge. Think about something like a day of silence to honor the loss of speech in ALS. The metrics show this requires way less time and money, and the potential ROI is significantly higher than the beef and beer. It actually puts it right on par with getting business sponsorships.
Okay, we have analyzed 5 very different plays from our playbook. Now, it's time for the most important part. Let's bring it all together and look at them side by side so you can see your entire playbook in one single glance. And here it is, the entire playbook at a glance. You can see the full spectrum of options right here. On one end, you've got financial assistance with its super low effort and massive potential return. And way over on the other end, the beef and beer, a huge commitment for a more moderate financial return. This table lets you visually weigh all the trade-offs and decide where you can best invest your precious energy.
So, we've laid out the entire playbook. We've analyzed the metrics, we've compared the options. Now, the focus shifts completely to you. It's time to take all this information and start building your personal game plan.
And as you think about your next steps, we just want to leave you with a simple truth. ALS is tough, but you are tougher. Your strength and the strength of your community, those are your greatest assets.
And that brings us to our final question for you. Looking at all these options, considering your energy, your resources, your community, what does your playbook look like? What's your first play going to be? Thanks for watching.